Good morning to everyone here today, to especially to Ms. Jessica and Mr. Cyrus. Today we'll be presenting our proposal for our documentary, in which we have tentatively named Refuge. So first of all, before we start the actual presentation, I'd like to explain the roles of everyone who is going to be in this documentary. First of all, I'll be the producer of this documentary. Justin here. My name is Kyle Majid. I'll be the producer of this documentary. This is Justin Wong. He's our director. This is Trisha. She'll be our camera person. There is Team Willie. He'll be our lighting. Nasuk Sofian is our editor. And on sound will be Jun Ting. We'll also be having assistant roles because of our past documentaries, where I'll be assisting Justin in directing the video, and Justin will also be assisting our editor in editing the video. Okay, now I'll just start on the documentary. Okay, so this documentary is essentially about the Rohingya people in Malaysia. The Rohingya people in Malaysia are a highly persecuted minority from Myanmar who are fleeing violence and usual abuse in their country by police mobs. In understanding this, what we will try to do in this documentary at least is try to highlight the plight of the Rohingya people in this country. So the problems they face are not simply just about fleeing Myanmar. They also have this. They also face issues in their journey here, where they take boats, and when they arrive on the shore, they become abused by traffickers, and also coincidentally by the authorities in the country for bribery and other means. So in highlighting this issue, we want to talk not only about the Rohingya people, because we understand that the Rohingya people are part and parcel of a much larger issue in Malaysia. And that is of how we treat refugees and the way in which they eventually, how the government itself treats the refugees in this country. So we sought a sort of vessel from which we could actually extract information and use a new way to provide a viewpoint. So in doing so, we found Ustaz Rafiq of an organization known as My Welfare. He is a community coordinator, and we found him quite interesting as a personality, and because of his background. First of all, he is a former migrant. He is not a refugee in that sense. He's a migrant. He left Myanmar about 25 years ago and came to the shores of Malaysia. The other thing is that he is an Ustaz. An Ustaz is a religious leader or religious counsel or religious teacher who teaches Islamic classes, basically in Malaysia. And from this, he is also an activist himself. An activist who has a past and has had run-ins with the authorities, where at some point in his life he's actually lost his, he told us that his IC was revoked, which is something we have checked and technically is constitutionally illegal. So these are some of the aspects that got us interested in him. And the other thing is about, due to his activism, we saw that he was very motivated to talk about Rohingyas. Even though he might not be a refugee himself, he feels very strongly for his people, and he really wants to fight for them. And he does this really quite a lot from his organization, My Welfare. At My Welfare, he, as a community coordinator, he organizes a lot of events where people come in to help and support the Rohingya people. Only 2 weeks ago, Trisha and I went to on a recce shoot at My Welfare, and we saw the size of the refugee population that was coming to him alone, which is somewhere around 500 to 600 people, and he was still struggling to support all of them. The one thing we can guarantee in this story is that emotions will run high, not only from Ustaz Rafiq but also from B-rolls where we take shots of the families and the children that run around. So there are going to be a number of emotions we will play with in the And that being said, we're going emotional is technically the most important part of this story, where it is going to be used as a means to talk about all the serious and complex issues I spoke about earlier. And that's also how we're going to sort of tone, pace, and stylize the entire documentary. We're going to provide enough of an insight for for the amount of time we have to give us to at least produce this documentary properly. Because one of the things we agreed to do early on was we wanted to take on a project that was more serious than our previous ones, and that we wanted to produce something that was clearly we were capable of at least producing properly, where we get access and we get enough information from the beginning to the end to produce a legitimate documentary that we will publish. And because the stories are because the story is a personal story, it is going to be directed entirely from the point of view of Ustaz Rafiq. However, there are going to be obviously many shots which will be discussed later on in the presentation. So I'd like to now invite Justin Wong over to talk about the treatment.
Very good morning to Mr. Cyrus and Ms. Jessica. So I'm Justin, I'm the director of the documentary. So I'll be talking about the whole treatment and the whole structure that our documentary will undertake. So what happens in the beginning of the film is that the documentary will begin with the introduction of the primary character, our primary character, Ustaz Rafiq, as he sits silently preparing for the interview as archival footage of the Rohingya massacre in Myanmar are intercut as montages. So as he sits down and prepares for the interview, we will intercut with montages that we will find from different archives to serve as like an opening montage and something to give the audience a fresh insight, an initial insight, and set up the whole mood and the whole atmosphere of the documentary. And then building on that, a super which contain facts transition to the man interview will be added. So this will be like a recurring style that we're going to put in our documentary. Super that contains statistics about the Rohingya refugees will be inserted as a transition footages for our documentary. So the first part of the exposition part of the documentary, where he discusses his beginnings, where he came from, and all this connects to his past as a Rohingya in Myanmar and the difficulties that he faced arguing for his choice to leave Myanmar to persist in Malaysia. And then what happens in the middle is that Ustaz Rafiq now openly discusses his present situation after moving to Malaysia over 25 years ago. And the middle part of the documentary, he discusses his activism. He points out the abuse faced by the Rohingyas in Malaysia and how similar it is to what he saw in Myanmar. He also discusses the fact that Rohingyas in Malaysia are essentially dehumanized with no access to healthcare, education, or welfare, providing examples of the types of dangers they face constantly. And after that, another super will be added in between to notify the audience of the fact that Malaysia is not a signatory of the United Nations Refugee Charter and thus has no obligation to take care or relocate refugees. After the super, we will insert an interview with Jules Ong. Jules Ong is one of the co-partners that Rafiq works with under the My Welfare organization. So Jules Ong is a filmmaker, a journalist, and he has done a lot of documentaries on refugees himself in Malaysia. So what we're going to get out from Jules is that we want to seek his opinions on what Ustaz Rafiq have done in the past. So this sort of instill a point from an external point of view, and Jules also we also hope that he will talk about Ustaz Rafiq's contributions and all his efforts that he has done towards the welfare sector and what he has done to help the refugees in Malaysia. After that, Rafiq further points to the authoritative manner in which refugee life is controlled in the country. He then notes of the threats he has faced from the authorities, where they have revoked his identity card, for which he has worked tirelessly for. And again, after that, a super will be explaining the constitutional facts related to fact of identity cards and the laws behind its revocation are shown. And this whole middle part of the story, it sort of emphasizes the whole, summarizes the whole the dangers someone could face in conducting activist activities on the refugee cause. Continuing that, Rafiq will then discuss the role of his religion and what religion has played in the part in his refugee effort, in his efforts of helping the refugees. So, how his religion provides him the patience and guidance to continue his practice. And as Rafiq talks about his motivations, the shot transitions to a medium shot of a small Rohingya child. And this child will be one of the bureaus that we'll have in our documentary. The child will be bringing the audiences to like sort of a tour throughout the welfare center, throughout the house. So that will be something more interesting, and to add more perspective to the film. And then shots of their religiously oriented classes were religious tags, shots of the ailing men and women in healthcare, or those who cannot afford it due to the insane cost. Shots of their food preparation facilities, shots of their living quarters, which houses more than 300 refugees. All these shots will be inserted as like B-rolls and cutaways and whatnot. And after that, Rafiq notes in a walking interview of how most of these people will leave the refugee house within 3 months, with another 300 entering right after, and the whole cycle continues. So, how the documentary will end is that near the end of the film, Rafiq will discuss the intricacies, the difficulties of what can and needs to be done in order to support the refugees in Malaysia. And then he once again points to the inhumane treatment and how, as a Muslim country, Malaysia is openly flaunting the teachings of the Quran in its mistreatment of fellow Muslims. So that kind of gives it like an ironic feeling. And then he will also provide worded criticism against the country and also the systems that malign Rohingyas and how he envisions they should act. So before going to the last scene of the film, we will be shooting like a sort of a montage that consists of a close-up shots of all the refugees, whereby the refugees just look directly into the camera, and that sort of build up the emotional level of the film. And as the shots transition to one refugee to another, we will be using a voiceover by Ustaz Rafiq, where he quotes verses from the Quran implying on how Muslim brothers should treat one another. So the scene will end with yet another super, noting on how an attempt was made by the team to contact government officials to comment on their actions against Rohingyas and to clarify further the laws that govern identification card revocation and whether it can be reconstituted to Rafiq. So our documentary will end with a super. And then I'll talk about the tone, pace, and style of the documentary. Throughout the documentary, we decided not to use the style of narration, but instead we're using talking heads, because the justification was that by using a narration, although it is a complex issue, although it is a difficult subject to understand, narration would kind of interfere with the whole flow between the audience and the film. Because our justification was that by using narration, there will be a third party explaining the story, hence disrupting the whole personal and empathy element of the film. So we decided to use talking heads. And then, as I said earlier, one of the recurring style and one of the recurring themes that we will be using throughout the documentary is super, that contains statistics as transitional footages. And then, as for the tone of the whole documentary, we're attempting to achieve a more serious and more a darker tone to the whole documentary, because it is a very serious and it is a very complex and very complicated issue to talk about. So we feel that a serious tone is the only way to go, because any other, if we take it too lightly, it might not bring out the whole difficulties faced by the refugees and difficulties faced by the Ustad's graphic. And then warm color, because we decided to use warm color because it's closer to reality, it's closer to what a sense of realism, it's closer to what we see with our eyes. And then as for the pacing of the documentary, we decided to go for a slower pace as compared to moderate or fast pace, because it is once again a very serious issue. So I think slower pace would give the audience more time and more a sufficient time to understand and to digest whatever we're trying to present in the film. So next up is the cinematography, which will be explained by our camera operator, Trisha.
Hi, my name is Jessica and Mr. Cyrus. I'll be operating for the camera. And basically we have two main kinds of shots, which is the A-rolls and the B-rolls. So for the A-rolls, we will be focusing more on Ustad Rafiq and also possibility of Juice Op. So for these shots, we are more focused on medium shots. So basically it's just their upper part of their body. And in part of the shot, you'll have a main camera and also a secondary camera, which we'll be using the Canon. We'll be using 600D. So for these shots, we might focus on maybe the eyes, nose, and different parts of the body to show emotions from them. So this will bring out more emotion because for A-rolls, it's more darker tone in concept. Whereas for the B-rolls, even though it's known in the films, it's known to be a supporting shots, but for our B-rolls, it will be very important as well because it tells the story of these refugees. So for B-rolls, we'll be shooting in two settings, which will be the child bringing us around the house, the refugee center, and also Ustad Rafiq showing us during the riot session. So this will show us part of their life, their story in the B-rolls. But also we'll be showing child and Rohingya refugees inside. So we'll be more establishing shots over here. So as we go on to the next slide, you can see this is one of the shots that we have taken together with Khalil that we went for. Sorry.
That one.
Alright. This will be a shot of the child and how we're going to focus on possibility on Ustad. And the next one would be the story. This is more warmer tone, the B-rolls. We haven't really gotten to shoot on Ustad yet, so we won't be able to show the darker tone of it. There's any references? Maybe we reference from one of the video by Spaceman on Rohingya refugees, their Malaysian production. Justin, you want me to show the video or no?
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
Let's just click on
So
it.
just no, I mean they want some reference.
For the how you will show the dark tone for Ustad Rafiq interview
So
as a So did you have any references since you don't have any?
yeah, we do have some references. So maybe I'll show you 30 seconds of it. We'll be showing you this video.
No, but you need to go to that certain point that you want to show.
So you already have it?
Yeah.
Nearly 50,000 Rohingya refugees have fled from Myanmar to Malaysia
That
alone
is more of
in
the
search of
darkest
safety.
The mood and the setting itself is not to say not much lighting in there, but there's a macro concept to it. There's more shadow in play.
Like you see how the whole atmosphere of it is very very gloomy and very dim and very dark, very shadowy.
Yeah, so you want to stop there?
Yeah.
Alright, yeah. So this is one of our references that we're going to look into. So basically that's going to be the shots for the start and also already use on. But you see what we can play around during the situation. So yeah, mainly this is the shots that we'll be using. And the next part we'll go on to the audio by Junping.
Good morning, Ms. Jacinta and Mr. Cyrus. So, the audio part, okay, as what the director said, that the treatment-based part is because the main audio will be focusing on the subject interview, means Ustaz Rafiz. He will be the main audio focusing. So we will control the volume not to go over too much to cause any more distortion. We're going to balance it out the level. At the same time, we're going to create a minimalistic environment with the audio of our pacing. So basically, we're going to have a audio, ambient environmental sound, basically as low as possible to create a more resilient sense to the story. At the same time, we're going to attempting to compose our original track to fit the mood as specific as possible. It's because we're doing our own BGM to create music to fit in our documentary. Normally it's going to be slow pacing and moment to fit the music sense into the video, to have sing and structure of it and flow. Lastly, a shotgun microphone for the videos and lavalier microphone for the interviews. A proper equalization will be done up during the post-production to balance the high, mids and low. Basically, the high, mids and low consists of to prevent any white noises, any distortion throughout the balancing of our EQ. At the same time, we create a clarity to enhance the audio quality of our video as well. And lastly, this is a documentary link. I will put it as references because it covers a similar refugee topic as well. At the same time, I just going to take the audio sense, like how they balancing out the audio, how they interview with the subject itself. Next, I'll pass to.
You want to show them or what?
It's okay, never mind. This way. Next, I'll pass to Billy for lighting.
Good morning, guys. I'm doing the lightning. So, lighting. Just a joke, what you want to get. Okay, the main thing about this, we are going on with a serious tone. So the lighting for indoor, most likely we won't be using any studios. Basically we're using portable, if can. We are using shadow also as in an enforcement to create the realism and the serious tone and the dark tone. Basically, one tone is used with gel to create the reality, to create the sense that this is what happened in the normal day of Malaysia, how people interact and the colors of the sun, because it's outdoor, so we're using reflector as well. So basically, we are using these two things, reflector and the portable lights. This is our main weapon, this one. So basically, I was talking about how the light reflects on and how using shadow to cause a more serious tone in the sense that people will take this more seriously. And a better tone in colors or whatnot. And shadow will be one of my concern in case we doesn't have a lot of indoor shots and outdoor shots. So, next one. Passing by to our editor, Nas. Okay, so overall we covered a lot about what we want to do, how we want to achieve it. In post-production, of course, it's all about wrapping things up, putting things into the actual video. What I believe is important when it comes to post-production is following the flow and direction that the director and producer wanted in the original idea. That's why for this edit, after talking with my friends and all that, conversing, we figured out that we wanted a bit of a minimal edit style. We want the story to be the main focus. In this sort of story, especially like a documentary, we do not want to have extremely excessive effects, which I will be definitely avoiding. There will be an emphasis on keeping the flow of the story. Why do I say this? Is because this is a very big structure and a big issue that we want to cover. And our time frame is 10 minutes, which is another big issue. 10 minutes is not a lot when you want to make a video on a topic like a refugee issue here in Malaysia. There's a lot of things to cover, and I have to make sure when, let's say, when we piece together this, we're going to have a lot of footages, a lot of content from Rafiq himself when we get the interview done, that I'm afraid that it might seem a bit overbearing. The interview might be a bit too much, maybe there's a bit too much B-roll. The flow is important to make sure that as a person watches the video, he or she understands the meaning behind the actual video. He gets the concept, gets the basically the one word, one sentence sort of key line, and understands, yes, this is the message of the video. Just some basics about how we're gonna approach the editing. There'll be a bunch of intercuts, of course. There'll be one master, which is basically the main role, and that will be the interview. The interview with Rafiq and all his emotions and all that. Then the intercuts will be all the B-rolls that we'll be shooting, about the place, about the kids around the house itself, about the situation with the refugees. That is to give the mood and feel to the interview and also give meaning to whatever Rafiq is saying. So once again, it flows back to what we are trying to achieve, and that is highlighting a person, Rafiq, who is tackling the issue of refugees in Malaysia. He's trying to help the refugees in Malaysia, and so we want to highlight his story, and that should be the main concept of this video. During the edits, that needs to be highlighted. I just want to add in here audio cues and not songs, because I find it a bit too common in our past works where we don't place enough emphasis during the editing phase on audio. Audio is actually a very key role. I spoke to the sound man, and he also mentioned a couple of things that what we can do, not only during the videography phase where we actually shoot the video, but also during the editing phase. Sometimes it is unnecessary to add an entire background music to the entire video. It kind of feels, how do you say, unprofessional in a way. It doesn't do anything for the video. It's better to just add it during key moments when necessary. Sometimes less is more. I'll be following on shoots to get a feel of the video, of how the video should look, because personally I'm pretty new when it comes to editing, and so I would like to follow whenever they're going on the shoots, because I believe as an editor, if I follow them for the shoots itself, I will have a better view of how it should be edited, how the video should come out, and how the final product should look like. And last but not least, of course, as I mentioned before, I'm a bit new, so I'll be getting some assistance not only from the soundman for the audio phase editing, and also from the director to make sure the direction and the final product is what he sees it should be, and how that direction is like. So hopefully everything turns out well, and that is pretty much our presentation. Now we'll just bring everyone back for your reviews.
Christians, because I heard everyone always say, my main thing is, how do you define the emotional values? Because I heard everyone say about feel, atmosphere, and tone. That's what I heard. But I didn't have a much clearer opinion of what emotional feel are you talking about?
Okay, I think the most important feel that we're trying to get through in this documentary is that of perseverance. The one word that defines the entire documentary is literally perseverance. Like how one man perseveres through all this hardship to work with people, work with minorities, fight for them, and the difficulties that he faces, and still continues to be the person he is, believe in the beliefs that he has, even through all the hardship that he's gone through. That is the primary emotion we are trying to work with in his entire documentary.
Because there's no script writer there. So that means what happens is whoever is directing the film or producing the film must know the right Christian angle.
Yes.
Because that is not brought up. That's why I am a bit concerned. We all talk about tone, feel, and all this thing. But that very important aspect did not bring up because that is the one that drives the emotional value in the film. Okay, so you need to actually focus on that value. How can I drive the emotional value? So it's not just picture values, feel values, and tone values, but the emotional value, the content of the whole production, bring out the emotional value that you are focusing on.
With regards to the topic of interviews, I will be personally conducting the interviews myself with support from the others on the team. But the thing is, because I have met with Ustad a number of times already, I sort of understand his character. I sort of conducted a number of pre-interviews with him. I know the difficulties I face talking to him. I know I sort of know his motivation. I know that I have spoken to him directly about with regards to the types of questions I will ask. I did not give him a list of questions that I will ask, but I told him pretty straightforward that the questions that will be asked of you are going to be strong and that they might elicit certain forms of emotions. And he agreed that initially he was a bit reluctant, but I got him to agree to be very open for the entire discussion. And so I'm not particularly worried about like the subject being closed off or not talking to us. And I'm pretty confident in him being quite open to any and all forms of questions that we're asking. Him answering quite relentlessly in his because of his character.
If I can just add on, like from our meetups with him, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. We kind of got lucky because he's a man who knows how to conduct himself. He's been in a lot of interviews before this, so he knows how the whole process works. And all that we can just forego. It's like, okay, he knows how to be in a video, but in the same way, we have to be able to bring out his honest emotions because we are afraid that when we interview him, it was a worry that we had, that when we meet him and he puts on himself a mask and like an identity, yeah, this will be me, and yeah, these are my thoughts on it, but what we want is more of his own honest opinions and feelings on the issue. But when we went to his place, we can agree, I believe, like all of us, that what he does is something that he does out of passion, because it's not something you do for fun. It's not easy. It's not something you can just do on a whim. So he definitely puts in the effort. So when it comes to feel, attaining that feel, I think we can, as long as we have the right questions to ask him, hook and prod, should be okay.
Okay, so now brings up to the main topic we are trying to achieve, the emotional value. So it comes back to also, just now you brought up this point on passion shots. So as the director, as the DOP, these shots got to be appeared in the film. Because this is what you're tackling at, so the emotional aspects. So editor, director, all these shots must be inside the film to bring up that strong value of emotion in your documentary. Okay? So it also brings up to, like, for example, even the child that you're going to use. The DOP didn't tell me, the director didn't tell me exactly how are you going to tackle to bring up that emotion value. Is it point of view or is it what?
No, I mean, just now I said you're going to follow the kid around and
How?
following shot, tracking. Like just follow, like from the point of view of the child.
Point of view of the child. Okay, so then it's right. That means you got to actually make sure whatever you're shooting, it must be from the point of view of the child. That means how the child looks at the emotional aspect, the feelings, because this is what you're trying to achieve. So it's not just following the child looking at this is what's happening, but how the child actually look at those aspects of what they are facing. So that is very important step for the DOP as well as the director to achieve. Okay? So it actually comes back to the whole step that needs the elements to achieve the good film, right? And also, even though at as an editor, NG shots are fine because you are trying to keep the emotion. NG shots are fine.
Okay.
Don't just give NG shots away. Okay. So sometimes like that, for example, in the interview, the person breaks down.
Yeah.
We are fine.
Yeah, that's what
Actually, we were
Yeah.
planning on
It would be nice if he actually brings out.
keeping the camera. We will tell me that the camera is still rolling in part of the interview with his consent. We will make sure that every raw footages of any families given in the interview, it will all be in the shot so that we will take out raw emotions from this interviewee and also the refugees. Because this is a documentary about refugees and we want to show how difficult it is. So we will not be cutting out scenes like whereby they are not suffering or anything. It will all be inside the shot.
No, because it's not brought up in the presentation.
Yeah.
That's that points again. So that's why if I didn't get those points, I will show those points must be inside there. So NG shots are fine as editors, directors, producers. All these
The only thing I'm worried about is actually, honestly, is the time frame, because 10 minutes is a lot of things to cover. Like we want interviews with Rafiq, and that one has to have a certain flow to it. It can't be rushed, it can't be too fast, and then the intercuts, and then we have the, as you said, the NG sauce and all that. So it's a lot to put in.
That's why
I'll try to
again,
finish, yeah.
I also write down about the question just now, which Mr. Cyrus. This is more on content wise. That's why again, the producer have to fit on the what question that you want to come up with the emotional value that you're talking about. I also jot down about the content wise because you didn't explain about the question that actually suit the emotional value that you want to talk about. It's more the one that you explained just now, it's more on the treatment in general, but you didn't focus on the content wise.
So even the content wise, actually the question I want to bring also as the director, how much are you going to give, or even the producer, how much are you giving for the beginning? How much time are you giving?
That kind of,
That's our content.
that's how you on the
Too
frame
much
of
of those things, then the others, you're lost. So how much are you going to give? These are things that you actually should brought up. And also regarding content, again, because I think the middle part is the most important, okay, which you all should actually develop more, okay. So you should work more for the middle part, and at the ending, you must also remember that you cannot tell one side of the story. Okay, very important. So you must give a balance. So that's why, again, we stress back to content. The content must drive what you are aiming at, which is the emotional values, not just the tone and feel and all this. The emotional value that you will try to bring out for the refugees, the refugees.
I'd like to just interject a bit in terms of the content. Like you mentioned that we need to be able to tell both sides of the story, all that. I feel like personally that in trying to tell both sides of the story, we might lose focus of what we're actually trying to do. The core concept of this documentary is essentially a sort of personal narrative, biography, whatever you call it. No, but here's the thing though, like with regards to that, I mean, we will try to help, like we will try to sort of tell parts of it, but we cannot, I don't feel like we should muddle it out by bringing in too many perspectives and narratives to counter-argue or further one part, like balance out the story. It is going to be biased in the sense that we are taking a side in this story. We are producing it from his perspective, but that is the focus of the documentary. If we do bring in other perspectives, we don't have the. I feel like we will easily cut out too much content from his end to like balance it out from the other side. And that doesn't really fit or work with the documentary itself.
No, I'm not asking you to go and interview people.
No, I'm not talking about interview. I'm just saying like we mentioned already in the documentary itself, where in the treatment itself, we will be bringing perspectives or arguments or depending on the situation. Like with regards to his IC issue, obviously there is a constitutional or government sort of issue in itself. We will be pursuing it, but we won't go to KGN and talk to someone for 5 minutes and ask them why they did it. It like takes on a tangent that we cannot control at this point. It takes away too much from the time that we don't have.
I guess one way of how we can approach, right, to achieve both perspective is in the questions that we ask. In a way, like, okay, one could be supportive of what he's doing, or do you believe in what you're doing here? And of course, they will answer, yes, this is my passion, this is what I want to do, I believe that we need to help all these people. Then maybe we can take the side of the people who are basically against him, in a way saying, hey, actually the government is doing a lot of work trying to help the refugees, but it's true, we cannot just simply let refugees come and stay. Then if we open our doors to everyone, we might run into these issues and that, and so on and so forth. And so then Rafi can answer, well, that might be true and all that. So with that, we get his opinion on both sides. So we get
This was name is not very
Yeah.
content.
Yeah, I think what we should have done
I
just
don't
now is
deliver to this document.
we should have added the interviews or questions that we have in mind with regards to Rafi. Because I suppose with regards to the interview itself, let's talk specifically about interview, right? I won't be taking a very simple questioning style. I won't be asking what is this, what is that. It will essentially be initially about him talking about his presence, and with regards to the treatment as well, because we will be talking about his IC issues and the issues of the Rohingyas and how all this pertains to the general livelihood of all the Rohingyas and all the refugees. The questioning will, like I said, I've spoken to him and I've told him I'm going to technically come after him with my question. I am not going to give him leeway in his answer. If he says something that sort of piques my interest as an interviewer, I will go after it. If he says that certain things like his motivations do not align with the way what he's doing or whatever, I will take that room and ask him the questions that need to be asked. Because the thing is, I think one thing is we want to accomplish doing the documentary properly, and we want to make sure he gives us everything that is as honest as possible. His flaws, his positive side, whatever they are going to be in the documentary. We're not going to cut out simply because we feel like he's a bit sensitive to it. And we've spoken to him already that we're going to add everything in that we feel is going to be important.
I guess in a way we don't take sides. If we don't agree with him as the people making the video, then we can achieve what we want, multiple perspectives. Because it's basically just a curious person wondering, what is it like doing your job? But is it really? Yes. Oh, okay. So if we are a curious observant of what he is doing, in a way our questions will cover both sides, both perspectives. I guess it just comes down to the question again. When we can form the questions, then hopefully we can develop ready for it. Okay, all the best.
So again, editors also plays a very important part because sometimes the questions can be very merry-go-round, under his answer merry-go-round. So how you can actually make that work without distorting the message? Without distorting the message that the person was interviewed, and you try to summarize what he said, because there will definitely a lot of repetition and all these things.
I guess how I can do it is, if there's a lot of repetition, how I see it, there must be an overabundance of answers. That means we are over the timeline, right? That means I can pick and choose what I want to insert, which one has the greatest amount of emotion, which one actually tells the story of what we want to tell, which is about Rafiq with refugees here in Malaysia. So I might play around with of course I won't be putting, okay, this is the interview segment, I'm not going to touch it. I will be cutting it up, and then I'll be placing questions depending on the mood and all that. I won't be changing what he means because then it's not a documentary, it's fictional. But what I will be doing is maybe putting in, his fourth question, actually this is great for an to introduce people to the refugee issue. So maybe I can put that first to add impact, and then after that I can add in a different sort of question that follows on, maybe a bit more personal, shows his interest with helping out the refugees. And then after that maybe his complaints. So then we have different emotions. One is just a rough, we start off with a very rough introduction of, okay, this is Rafiq, this is the refugees. Then we move on towards this close tie, so it's a bit more emotional. Yeah, he really feels about this issue. Then we move on to anger. He is actually mad that people are not aware of the suffering of the refugees. so on and so forth. Of course, all this is hypothetical, he might not even feel that way, but how I see if those issues come up, that's how I'm sort of going to play it. Once again, I will be framing it, okay, is this okay? I think this is good, then I show it to my director, he say yes and no, or no, then I go back and work, and then my director goes and eat, and then...
I think one thing that we need to worry about is because Ustaz Rafiq have sort of his own agenda of what he wants using our documentary, using our presence there. So I think that will be the trickiest part in questioning him, in asking the questions, and in editing also.
I guess it's okay if he wants to portray his own agenda.
Yeah, but we have to remember that it's our film, and we have to take control of what we want and what.
That is why during the interview, the point is to we will try to gain as much control, not as much. We will take all the control we want from him to direct the film in a way that we think is right.
I guess, but in the same way,
I mean, we will give him the leeway that he needs to talk about what he wants to, but we will not let him derail us from the topic we want. He might want to talk entirely about Rohingya issues and organization and all that, but going back to the actual topic at hand, like about you and your work and
what have you done?
That's why again, come back to the content wise.
That's
why you as a producer, you should propose structure and clear question to make sure everything in based on what you have in the whole thing as well.
Actually, the whole idea of our film is you must actually really know what film you're producing. So it's not just a film that it's just this title. What type of film are you producing? So it's not only technical you're talking about, it's about what message are you going to tell or bring about this film? That's more important. If you have that in mind, then you are fine. If you didn't have that in mind, then somewhere got to be corrected.
To be honest, based on the what you present today, we are okay with the technical part. Yes, just a little bit only. But what our concern here is the directing the content wise itself. Because based on the treatment that you explained just now, it's too general. Our concern is like what you said just now. We don't want someone like Ustaz Rafiq itself. Okay, like what you mentioned, does not have agenda. So you can't fit the whole documentary again. So that's my concern. That's why we talk about the question just now. So you have to be very careful in terms of how you set and direct the whole question.
Just a question, I'm genuinely curious, right? If we are doing like a personal profile on Mr. Rafiq, and basically the message of the video is introducing this character, introducing Rafiq to the world, then even if he has his own agenda, that is a representation of his character, right? So in a way, that is fine, because that is what he wants, but then the way we mask it is like, we don't follow through with it. In a way, we show that is his desires. So we show that is what he wants, and so that is Rafiq. And so like our interests sort of align, and we get to showcase the message that we want, which is introducing Rafiq to the world, and that was what he wants, and showcasing his passion and his desires.
But then your big idea must fit into what you're trying to do in the film. The big idea must fit.
Okay.
So your big idea is about the emotional values of these refugees that are going. Then it's not about Rafiq anymore. It's not about him. It's about the emotional values of refugees. And Ustaz is just one of the person who tries to deliver the message of these sufferings of these people. That is your film.
That's your film is.
Makes sense. So,
that's your film.
That's where producer and director have to control.
Like I said, I'm not entirely too worried about controlling him. Because I've spoken to him too many times over the phone and face to face, and we've sort of come to an agreement that the way we're going to shoot it and everything is fine with it.
Basically, we are not going to manipulate anything. We're just going to shoot what we are aiming to shoot. We're not going to control anything. In terms of control, what we are meaning is, in terms of question, we're going to direct him to our own views.
What we can agree on is that it will be a tricky shoot, it will be a tricky interview. For the best, good luck, Khalil. One thing is we're a small group, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work it together, What's gonna work?
Okay, just technical, just very, just two or three points. Because not one of you all brought out, audio man didn't brought out, editor didn't brought out. Okay, and then the other one is lighting man didn't brought out. So I just want to question, you are using too much to shoot, correct? Yes. Okay. So the audio man didn't bring out how the sound will be at the end of the day. How are they going to edit it? Editor also didn't bring up. So can you explain me how are you going to marry these two sound source?
No, because there's two mics is because the videos we're going to use shotgun, right? Because of the environment and the general, very, very general sound. And then the interviews, of course, we're going to use lavalier because it's clearer and whatnot. So I don't think there will be any clashes or any.
No, the thing with the second lavalier mic is entirely for redundancy.
Yeah, it's just in case.
Because one of the main problems.
No. It's not for redundancy. As in.
No, I mean like in terms of like it plays a role as a redundant sort of thing for the primary.
Which one?
Okay, come on. Basically, what we have in total is two lavaliers mic and one shotgun mic. Two lavaliers in a sense that one for an interview, on interviewing one person. The second is just in case the first one was salah.
Exactly.
Then the shotgun mic is mainly to capture the environmental sound. So in a way, how I'm gonna attempt to marry it, because I guess I understand your concern. Yes, you have two different kind of sounds. The levels might be off. One is shooting environmental sound. So that means are they gonna overlap? I believe, from my point of view right now, if I picture the video, it's like. Most of the time, I'm not going to overlap too much of the environmental sounds during the interview phase, because the interview is going to basically, from what we've agreed, I think so far, is that it's going to be held indoors.
Yes.
So there's not going to be much of an environmental sound.
Yes.
So it's separate. The environmental sound is mainly for the B-roll. Of course, if you want to add in mood, maybe the sound can transition a bit earlier. Maybe environmental sounds can slide in during the interview phase, so that then it cuts off to the B-roll shots. That is also possible. I don't have too much of a worry other than the levels might be a bit off. I guess the one thing to be wary of technical wise is the environmental sounds becoming a bit too loud and overbearing for the
so that's why we have two levels of shotgun. So the reason is that shotgun is more into just the environment and the natural sound, just minimalistic. What we do is that what we're going to take precaution more in this documentary compared to previous one is that we're going to balance the audio out. We're not going to go too much. If it's too much, it will cause reverb and distortion. Mainly reverb. The echo sound which is not good. So this time we're going to more focus on balancing. We're going to place the mic properly in the correct position, not too near, not too far. So we're going to balance out. And EQ is one of the important roles also, because we're going to, as I said, we want too much white noise. We're going to boost the clarity. So there's like 6 number of high, mid, and low. The 6 is the highest, 1 is the lowest. So maybe we'll cut out the 6, cut out the 6, cut out first. Maybe bring out the 4 and 5, which is the mid, the volume of the character. The natural sound maybe bring out the 5 and the 6.
Okay, you still didn't address because you are shooting an interviewer and an interviewee.
Yes.
No. The interviewer has no sound.
So what you're saying is you are using the main source from the
Less.
from the lavalier mic. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So that means whatever inserts that you pick up from the video are also coming from the lavalier source.
Shotgun mic. Well, that is for B-roll.
Yeah, I mean whatever inserts that you're going to insert during the interview, like for example you're coming.
Or during the interview.
That's what this is not stated to me.
I see. Sorry about that.
Editor, audio man didn't mention about this thing. Okay. So you got to be stated how are you going to use this what you call sound source and all this thing. Okay. So that you will give a clear indication of each role. Okay, the other one is actually the lighting person, which actually I'm questioning it. I know your look and film, tone and all this thing of the whole film, but you're only telling me they're using LED light. I don't know what LED light you're
It's
talking
portable light with the jar on it. We use it in our studio. It's portable. It's not the with stand light. It's a handheld. So like something is big with 3 LED lights. That is actually what is warm. Is on. There's a skin layer. You can choose between warm and the white layer.
Okay, my concern is because you talk about shadows.
Yeah, shadows.
We talk about shadows. Okay. For soft light, maybe it's not an issue with LED light. For creating shadows, you didn't really talk about how are you going to create shadows. That's why I'm concerned, because even though in the outdoor filming, you didn't talk about how can you create shadows for your film. So you talk about shadows. So my question is, how are you going to
Shadows is for interviewee or for
film?
the whole film?
Yeah, shadow is the main crucial element of lighting. But we're talking about is the how we create shadow by others light source or using our own light source. Especially if outdoor we are using the sunlight, basically we're using the reflector east of the shadow, not using all up to in the interview itself. Shadow is a crucial part when the shadow will take out the serious tone of the interview. The whole interview.
Okay, my question, I'm still not clear with what you're trying to tell me, because your film, the sample that you showed just now, is a lot of dark shadows.
Which was done post.
Correct, dark shadow. Correct?
Yeah, most of it was in post.
Sorry?
That was mostly in post.
But that is done in post also, that means the lighting itself must have some basic already. That means if you are trying to reduce the shadow away, then you can't get the shadow at all. That means during the filming, there must be some sort of shadow already. Then during the post, then you can get darker shadow.
That depends on the location entirely. That's the real question here.
That's why I say, because I look at your look and feel film. So you talk about shadow, so you didn't talk much about shadow. How are you going to create this shadow? So you should actually explain more about how are you going to achieve shadows to your film.
So in terms of that, right, actually, what I was planning to do is the shadows was more of natural lighting, because you can see itself, they were shooting indoors. There wasn't much lighting in play, any artificial lighting. So we are planning to use more of more natural lighting.
It's also like again, like what Willie mentioned, like it's also highly dependent on the location itself. We know for a fact that the location is pretty dark, so we'll need the LED lights and probably the reflectors. But we don't want to use standing lights and whatnot, because obviously that's going to it's inappropriate in a way because of the situation where we're shooting and everything. So we're trying to cut down on what we can in terms of the equipment as well. And yeah, I mean, location will be our primary point in which lighting will be manipulation to provide these shadows, to cast all these other shadows left and right, however it is. So we still need to work on some things there.
Okay,
But okay, let's say this is it depending on the location, right? Let's say your location cannot provide that kind of shadow. So what's your alternative? Did you refer any?
Well,
That's our question.
to be honest, none of us have any background in lighting.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the whole feel of the documentary, if I know that we pitch that, we want darker tone, we want shadowy tone, but these are like very,
How to say, we don't really mean shadow. We mean like, oh, that means it's a slow, it has that, how to say, it's a feel.
Yeah, we know.
And you know,
Most of you here, you don't have what we call that experience in terms of doing that kind of thing. But what we try to say here, did you have any research on how to? That's the thing is.
I know, because shadows, I don't know, from my knowledge, shadows can only be created when we are in a controlled environment, like in a studio, for example. Where we are going, it's a refugee home, and I honestly don't know how to create shadows.
No, because in terms of like, with regards to shadows again, that's a great topic. Like from what we've seen, like from what I've seen at least, and from what we've doing the recce's and everything,
it's quite dark already.
It's quite dark already. We need the lighting already. We discussed this already. We know the type of shots in mind. Like we've researched the shots in mind. We know the sort of lighting we sort of want and everything. But like Justin said, we're not so like.
We didn't plan out every shot. Okay, scene 1, scene 2, scene 3.
No, because I think the one thing like we realized over the time of actually producing like the first documentary that we did and the one we're doing now is the subjectivity of an entire like situation. With regards to, sure, we can tell him, okay, we like this shot, we want to do all of this, but we're not bringing him to a studio where we can control every aspect of the shot. We cannot control every, like, a child might walk in front of the interview and something might happen. These are all subjective things, even with lighting. Suddenly a light might go off while mid-shoot with him or whatever, because we have no literal control. We will try to control, but obviously things happen in between.
And technically it adds value, as in like goes up. But that adds value, it adds feel to
Because
the
I
show.
think like sometimes we sort of go into this thing where we try to become too dominant in explaining every aspect of every shot and everything. Like you watch documentaries, obviously they look amazing because lighting and all, but a lot of it is done in post. In my experience working with documentary filmmakers, so they go out, they do the shoots, they try to control everything that is, they have access and whatnot, they work with that. When they come back, the post is where the editor sits down for hours a day, just working through, cleaning up all the footage. And obviously, we'll try to do it. I'm not entirely sure how to
Basically, okay,
build something.
moral of the story is.
Just to summarize it here. Why I brought this individual point is because the individual person must know how to deliver what you're trying to sell. It's not everyone protective. Oh, we know what they want to do. But the individual role, the person must be able to deliver, to answer the question. That's what I'm trying to add. Not I'm trying to say you all don't understand. No.
That's what you have to Yes, what you should
What you
do.
mentioned just now, you said you've done follow suit and document. People try to get what they want,
Yeah.
and then they do in the post. So that's what you're supposed to
Yes.
talk about. Try to get what you want, the type of lighting, the type of angle, and that get shadows. Even though, like for example, it can be a home, but if I want to create shadow, I just walk on like stronger light, stronger source, I get shadows.
You propose something. That is what teaching is.
So it's come back to you say LED light. That's why I question the same thing. What is the LED light you're using? I can be using just one for LED light. You get what I'm trying to point at?
Yeah.
So the individual role, not
Not
You
the whole,
understand.
not the whole content. Now we're talking about individual roles that we are not clear yet.
Because he cannot answer my so.
Something that we are not clear yet. That's why you ask individual.
Because he cannot answer, there's no point in answering. So we help lah.
Because at the end you have to remember, at the end of the subject,
I know the
the one that you have
defend yourself.
defend yourself.
Individual must defend
With the
yourself.
code.
Let's say something happened in the post later, right? Yes, that's your responsibility to answer it. Isn't it? So that's what we try to, to help you to understand what your role is, not as a group.
All the best, man. Because all the best.
Because again, right, whatever you put in the content here, you talk about shadow. Of course, when it comes to the actual shoot, of course we will see all these things because you explain about it.
Expectation.
Yes, you
Emotional
propose.
values, expectation.
You propose that thing in the content. So of course we look over it again as a something like that. Okay? Alright. So again, yes. To everything? No.
Okay, I think you all have a very good idea, very good approach, but hopefully you all as an individual achieve whatever required by your role to deliver the film that as a team team should be looking at?
I think the team is pretty much ideal.
Yeah.
For example, yes.
Solid as a team.
Basically, what we do is we try our best and hope not to fall off the cliff. But yeah, it takes time.
Once again, as an individual role, again, if you feel that you are not agree with that technique, you can actually talk to your producer. That is individual role here. You know what I mean? If you don't agree with that, okay, why? That's how you actually work in a group.
There must be
Yeah, there must be agreement. You cannot just simply agree with one person. But that's why you ask you just now. If you can't, if you are unable to create that kind of thing because of this location is like this, yes, you may agree with your producer. That's what we try to, you know. But of course, there must be a reason lah. You didn't agree with like because you can't create that kind of like thing. Then you just okay cannot. No, of course not. Of course it's not like that. So yeah, okay. So yes, like Mr. Sarah said, this is a very good idea anyway. If you achieve whatever you accidentally, it might be like a good documentary.
Well, that's the thing, like, actually what we said today. Lah.
We have a solid structure, we know what we're going to do about it. Yeah, pretty much we have a solid structure.
Boleh lah.
We're going to compose using that.
I feel like we just put a lot of expectation on our shit. So much expectation this year. And then now, this year.
No, it's good to put our further expectations so it helps you to.
Thank you.
Can go.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.